Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph. Yesterday we learned how many people do you need in the city in order that it should be ready for Sanhedrin. So we said 120. And the 120 consists like this. You had 23 dayanim, and then you had 3 shureis of 23 in order to be able to pick new dayanim if it's needed. So 23 times 4 would add up to 92. Then you needed Asar Batlanim that we spoke about yesterday, that always had to be in the Beis HaKnesses in the time of the davening in the morning and in the evening, because we said that the Eibishter would be upset if he would enter the Beis HaKnesses and there wouldn't be a minyan to greet him, so Hashem would immediately get angry. So you need 10 Batlanim, in addition to the 92 is 102. Then you had 2 scribes, 2 Shamashim, that's another 4, and 2 Balidinim, that's 6, 2 Eidim, and meaning the Tvei and the Nitva, 2 Eidim, and 2 Eidim, 4 Eidim Zaymim, 2 Eidim Zaymim, and then another for Zaymim. So in all, you're now at 114. Then you had another 6. The 6 additional ones were 2 that collected tzedakah, and another 3 that distributed, so that's 5, and then 1 person who served as a doctor and a bloodletter and as a butcher and a teacher. Is a jack of all trades. That made it the 6th one. That made it into 120. Rab Nechemia, so we learned the Mishnah. Rab Nechemia says that you need 230 because each 23 dayanim, and a dayan has to be a leader. A leader is only over 10. So each dayan has to be a leader over 10. So 23 times 10 is 230. Tani, we learned in the Braisa, Rabbi Meir says, Masai Meshim Veshiva. You need 277. Why? In addition to the 230, you needed from the 23 dayanim that might turn out to be even 11 because one dayan might say, I don't know. So you're going to keep on adding 2, but keep on adding 2 that there should be a right. But till what number do we add 2? Till 70. So the difference between the 23 that was already included in the 230 till 70 is 47. Is 47, and that's how you get to 277, because 230 and the difference between 23 and 70 is 47. So it's 277, 230 plus 47, 277. But we learned it's 278. So where do you come off with 278? We just said it's 277 to make it, to add it to the number of from the difference between 23 and 70, just in case the batidinim, meaning the dayanim will be equal to the chayiv part and to the pata part. So you always have to add 2. We only add till 70. So if you add till 70, between 23 and 70 is only 47, and here it says 248. So if you want to like kasha, this is no question. The first price it follows Rabbi Yehuda, who says that the amount of dayanim that were in the big Sanhedrin was 70. That's why between 23 and 70 is only 47. That's why you add 47 to the 230, it's 277. But the second price is Rabbanan, who say that the Sanhedrin Gedolah consisted of 71 dayanim, so you have to add 1 more. That's why they said it's 248, because the difference between 23 and 71 is 48. So that's why it came out to be 278 instead of 277. It says, for something, you should place upon yourself officers of thousands, officers of 100, officers of 50, and officers of 10. How many? There were 600,000 Yidden. So how many officers over 1,000? So you divide 600,000 by leaders of 1,000. That's Sheish Meyas. 600 officers times 1,000 adds up to 600,000. Sari Meyas. He's just said a Sari Meyas is Sheish Zalafim. if it was officers of 100, then it was 6,000, because 6,000 officers times 100 will equal to 600,000. So the Chamishin, so it's double of 6,000. Shnei Mas Olav is 12,000. Misari Asares, and if the officers of 10, so you have to divide 10 by 600,000. Sheishes Hebrew comes out to 60,000. So how many officers did you have in all? So you had 600 for the Sari Alafim, you had 6,000 for the Sari Meyes, so it's 6,600, and then you had 12,000 for the officers of the 50, and then you had 60,000 for the Sari Asari. So if you add them all together, Nimtsu Dayan Yisol, Shivas Ribui, 70,000, Ushmenes Alafim, and 8,000 Visheshmei 600. If you total all the officers together, Hadrach Allah, I think we shall return to you Perek Din and Mamanis, starting the new Perek. So the Yemada, since we already learned in the previous Perek that a Kohen Gadol that does an Aveira, that Yechayv Mises Bezdin, he's different. He's judged by the Sanhedrin Gedolah. So the Gemara is now going to talk about more dinim in which the Kohen Gadol is similar and not similar. Kohen Gadol done, a Kohen Gadol could judge, they done nicer, and they could judge him. Meaning if he did an Aveira, then the people could judge him. A Bezdin could judge him. He could testify Eidus of what he knows. And somebody who knows Eidus against him could come and testify against him. If he has a brother that died without children, so he does chalitza. And if the Kohen Gadol died without any children, so one of the brothers, it's a mitzvah, one of the brothers, to do chalitza or yibum to the wife of the Kohen Gadol. Avol, in this case, the Kohen Gadol is different than the other brothers of the Kohanim. Who ain't a miyavim? He, if the brother died without any children, the Kohen Gadol cannot be miyavim his brother who died without children, the wife of his brother. Because he is us, a Kohen Gadol cannot marry an almana, like it says in the pasuk. Almana or gurush v'chalala zeinais eila lo yikach. A Kohen Gadol cannot marry an almana. If one of his immediate kravim passed away, the shiva kravim, a father, mother, son, or daughter, or brother. So what's the din? So he cannot follow the bed to be malav the mace, because maybe out of pain he'll forget and he'll be matam himself. And the Torah says, that he's not allowed to be matam himself. He has to guard himself. He shouldn't leave his kedusha and be matam himself tameis. He's not allowed to do that. Only rather they are like hidden, and then he could reveal himself. You see, if the Levaya turns a corner and they're not there, then he could reveal himself, or they're in two separate alleyways. If they are revealed, then he again. So then if they appear hidden, then he appears. If they appear, then he is in. Zag the Yemada, he can go with the Amaze at Pesach Shari only till the entrance of the city. He cannot leave outside the city, because outside the city there are no buildings that are blocking the sight of the Levaya. Rabbi Yehuda says he's not allowed to leave at all to be malav the mess. And we teach he shouldn't go out of his kedusha, so he's not allowed to even be malav the mace at all. And when the Kohen Gadol is comforting others, so in those times, today it works that they would set up two shudes. They do set up two shudes of regular people, and the other walks between them. That time, those that were did the nichum passed by the Avel, and they would say nichum Avel. But the Kohen Gadol, when he passed by, it was different. How was it different? It was customary for the people to pass one after another. But the Sgan Kohen Gadol places the Kohen Gadol in the middle, that it should be between himself, meaning between the Sgan Kohen Gadol and the people. So the Kohen Gadol goes in the middle with the Sgan Kohen Gadol on his right and the people on his left. Else covered. That was done as a covered. And when the Kohen Gadol comforted himself by others, meaning others came to comfort him, as anu kabarasa, all the people would say to him, "We are going to be your atonement." So he brings down that meaning that they bench him, that he shouldn't need any other kapara except for this avelis, and no other tragedies to happen. Then they are ready to redeem and be in the place of any vital tragedies. And he answers them that Hashem should bless you, that nothing bad should happen to you. When they reserved with the first list was Havra, the first after the Avel comes back from the Kudas Ames, he eats in his house, that others prepare for him a Suda. The rest of the nation the rest of the people sit on the ground. But the Kohen Gadol Mesal Sasel, which is usually the reverse, that everybody else could sit on chairs, but the Avel sits on the floor. But here by a Kohen Gadol, everybody sits on the floor, but who Mesal Sasel, and he sits on a bench, of course leaning to the side, and that's how they were eating those times, leaning to the left. A king cannot judge or be judged. He cannot testify, they can testify against him. He doesn't do chalitza, and achenim are not allowed to marry his wife. And he cannot perform yibum, and yibum may not be performed with his wife. And we say pashit because the reason is, since the melech is not chalitz, therefore he's not meyavin. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says, that if he actually wants to chalitz or yibum, he is remembered for the good. Even if the king wants to be meyavin or do chalitz, we don't listen to him. Others cannot marry the almana of the melech, the wife of the melech who died. But another king could marry almanas shel melech, the almana of this king. We find that David HaMelech married the widow of Shaul. Like it says in the pasuk, like it says in the pasuk, the Eibishter gave David the house of Shaul, and the women of Shaul, he put him in his bosom. The Mishnah says, Kohen Gadol done, the Kohen Gadol could judge others. Pshita, what did the Mishnah have to tell us this? The Tana and the Gemara had to teach us that we could judge the Kohen Gadol, even though it wasn't fitting that we should be metzalzel the Kohen Gadol to have to come to a bezdin to judge it. This din that we judge a Kohen Gadol is also a davar pashut. If we don't judge him, how is he able to judge others? It says, search and search yourself and then search others. It says, first check yourself and then only afterwards so you learn out from here, you cannot be done, you're not kosher to judge others unless others could judge you. So surely, what do we need the Mishnah to tell us that they could judge him? If he could be a judge, for sure others could judge him. But that's how we learn out from the pasuk. The reason is, the Kabbalah Mishneh, really, that's not where the Chiddush is. Only since we have to say the Chiddush about the Melech, Loidam Neisei, about the Melech, that he cannot judge and the others cannot judge him. Tananami, Kohen Gadol, done Neisei. That's why you already learned that the Kohen Gadol could judge, and we judge him. That's one pshat in done Neisei. If you want, I can tell you another answer. This is what the Chiddush is in the Braisa. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Kohen Gadol sharik san nefesh. B'meizeh, if he killed a Kohen Gadol killed somebody b'meizeh, nerog, he gets killed. B'sheigeh, if the Kohen Gadol killed b'sheigeh, he goes to Ari Miklat. He gets exiled. And he's over on Asay and Alois Hasay v'arei who can't l'chol dvarav. And he's like a hedged in all aspects. And the Gemara will explain what this sentence means. In fact, the Gemara Pshita, it's the Chadav HaPashet, says the Gemara, we needed to tell you that by Shegeg he goes to Golis. That to teach a Kohen Gadol that killed a Nefesh B'Shegeg, he goes to Ari Miklat. So, in fact, the Gemara Hanami Pshita, this Kohen Gadol that killed B'Shegeg is a dim person. Why would I ever think that a Kohen Gadol should be any different than any ordinary person? Everything about it, I need it. I would have thought, hey, look, see, since it says in the pasuk that somebody who kills b'shegeg and gets exiled to Hari Mikla, and the Ritzech should sit in Hari Mikla, till the Kohen Gadol dies. So it's mashma that Amos say, call the Islay Takant v'chazara. Only somebody has a get out of jail card legally goes to Gullus. And here, when the Kohen Gadol dies, that's the get out of the jail card. But he's coming to exclude, but maybe it's Leslie Takanta, but somebody who doesn't have to get out jail card, meaning that if he goes to Gullus, there's no way of him ever getting out. Lately, he shouldn't be able to go to Gullus. He shouldn't have to go to Gullus. It's not that we learned in the Mishnah that it says Kohen Gadol, somebody who kills a Kohen Gadol with Shegeg. Kohen Gadol killed somebody else. He's never going to go out because there has to be a Kohen Gadol at the time when he went to Gullus, and that Kohen Gadol has to die for him to go out free. But if the Kohen Gadol didn't exist and he was exiled, there's no way of him going out of free because it has to be at the time when he was exiled. The Kohen Gadol was serving as a Kohen Gadol. So in these two cases, if he killed the Kohen Gadol, and if he killed him, there's no Kohen Gadol at the time serving, so he'll never go out free. Or a Kohen Gadol that killed somebody else who loses his position when he killed it, he never goes out free because there was no Kohen Gadol at that time. I would say, since he doesn't have to get out of his jail card, he shouldn't go to Gullus. Kamashman, he comes to teach us. Nevertheless, he goes to Gullus. Why don't we say Taka, the Kohen Gadol kills somebody with Shegeg? Since he doesn't have to get out of jail card, he shouldn't go to Gullus at all. Amakra, it says in the pasuk, Lanu Shama Kol Reitzeya. The word Kol afilu includes afilu Kohen Gadol b'mashma, includes even a Kohen Gadol goes to Gullus even though there's no get out of jail card. Meaning he can't wait for a Kohen Gadol to pass away. It says in the Mishnah, it said, we learned before, Oyval Hasei, that the Kohen Gadol is Oyvan Hasei and Aval Lois Hasei. And he's like a hedge l'chol dvarav. So you make it sound like, he is Oyvan Hasei, and he has to be it has to be that he was Oyvan Hasei, Lois Hasei. So you want to come out, this is the kavanah of the Tanahim over. The Kohen Gadol was Oyval Achas mitzvah, one of the mitzvah, Val Lois Hasei, or one of the mitzvahs Lois Hasei, Lamashal. Hasei would mean that he has Hasei to take a little bit Chagasukis. So Bezdin could now judge with Malkis till be masking to be Mekaimet. So that's what he's saying. In all in him that you dan the Bezdin Shel Shleisha like any other person. And you don't need the Bezdin Haggadah of 71 Dayanim to judge him on Hasei or Lois Hasei. In fact, it's a Davar Pashut. Why would you think that the din of a Kohen Gadol should be different than any ordinary person? And you want to talk about Chamina. I would have said, hey, it's not, since we learned in the Mishnah. Ain't done Lois Hashevet. We're not done a Shevet that the whole Shevet sin. Avodah Zarah amazing. Lois Navi Hasheka or Navi Hasheka who said the name of Hashem false words. V'loyas HaKohen Gadol. Here, this is the emphasis. And not a Kohen Gadol was Eva Haveda. Only through a bezin of 71. The makar that you don't judge a Kohen Gadol only in a bezin of 71 dayanim, because in the pasuk it says, "Kol hadava hagadol yavi halacha." Any great thing they should bring to you, Moshe, meaning to the bezin hagadol, because Moshe was the equivalent of 71 dayanim. And we were mefarish. What is hadava hagadol? Vodav shel gadol. The dinim of a great person of great stature, like a nasi or Kohen Gadol. Ema, I would have thought kol. What of shel gadol? Kol, when it says kol, includes any dinim of the Kohen Gadol, including things that don't have the punishment of Misa, needs to be judged in front of 71 dayanim. Kamash Malon. That's why the Braisa had to teach us that the pasuk was said only the Indian din nefashis alone. Kol davar begadol means any great thing. Say taka. No, that it's even killed the things that are not in the fashis of a Kohen Gadol, that they should be dafka judged in front of 71 dayanim, because that fits with the word Hadavar HaGadol means anything that this Gadol, this great person of stature, is over, has to be judged in front of 71 dayanim. So no, does it say in the pasuk Divrei Gadol? Does it say Divrei Gadol, which is B'lashon Rabim? Meaning matters, any type of a matter that is brought in front of the great one. No, Hadavar Gadol Ksiv. It says one matter. Which matter is that? Obviously, this Davar Gadol, which is Dinin of Fashes. So we learn now from here that a Kohen Gadol that kills a person goes to Gullus. That's one Chiddush. Donav Noisei. And we say this is what the Mishnah meant with Donav Noisei, that even a Kohen Gadol who kills somebody still goes to Gullus, even though he doesn't have to get out of jail card. Meaning there's nothing to wait for him to go out free. Also, we learned from the Braisa, a Kohen Gadol that was able to Aveda that Yechayev Malkis, he gets punishment in front of 3 dayanim. And this that it says Dana Ma'isa means that we are done him in front of 3 dayanim. Okay, now, so that's what Dana Ma'isa, we have a second shot. So the first Dana Ma'isa that he goes to Gullus even without a get out jail card. This meaning there's no way of him ever getting out because there was no Kohen Gadol existing besides him, and he killed somebody, and he's Ois Kohen Gadol, and so there's no Kohen Gadol at the time when he committed this Aveda. There's no way out. Nevertheless, he goes to Gullus. That's Dana Ma'isa. The second Dana Ma'isa that he gets judged with Malchus in front of 3 ordinary dayan. We learned that a Kohen Gadol may testify and be testified against. It says that you hide. You can hide. So what does it mean you hide? At times, a person is allowed cases that you can hide, but there are cases that you cannot hide. And you must go, and if you see the lost object, you have to go pick it up. And if you don't, you'll be able that you're not allowed to hide from a lost object. Okay, so you want to give me the cases where you're allowed, the one who finds it is allowed to hide. Kohen, who's forbidden to be metamid himself on mason, and the chayetz that's lost is bebeis hakvara, is in the beis hakvara, in the cemetery. So he's not allowed to go ahead and go pick it up. He doesn't have to. He can hide from it. Or his malacha he was making much more money than in the time that he would have to be metapel, bother with picking up this lost object. It's a bigger loss than dealing with the lost object of his friend. That's why it says v'salamta to teach us that a kohen. Oh, I left out zakin. A zakin. And zaken means a zaken who's a Talmud Chacham. It's not lefich chveda to go and deal with the being metap and bothering with the lost object. Or his malacha was worth much more than the time that picking up the aved. Lekach nema v'salamta. That's why it says v'salamta to teach us. A kohen is not allowed to be metap himself in order to keep mekayim the mitzvah v'hashavas habeda, and also somebody who is a zaken Talmud Chacham. It's not lefich chveda, and he's allowed to hide. So, in fact, from this, that the Mishnah taught us that he's allowed to be Eivan leisuch leishalem, a zakin, who's a Talmud Chacham, so you can learn that the covenant of a person can be Deicha Mitzvah say of the Torah. So Zakasha, why did the Mishnah say that a Kohen Gadol is chayiv to come and testify? It's not Kvi Chveda. Rabbi Yisrael said the covenant of the Mishnah is that a Kohen Gadol made lemelech, means that if a melech was in din, when he has a case with another person, and the Kohen Gadol knows Eidos for the king, he's mechuyev to come for the king. That's lefich vayda. How could you say that? But now we learned in the Mishnah that a king it cannot judge others, and others cannot judge him. He doesn't testify to others, and others don't testify against him. So how could you be testifying for him? Rather, Rav Zeda says the kavanah of the Mishnah is made levem melech, that if the ben melech was put into a case with another person, and the Kohen Gadol knows Eidos in this topic, he's mechuyev to come and testify. And it's not a zilzul in the covenant of the Kohen Gadol to testify. In fact, ben melech had you do. He's a regular person. So it is a zilzul, it is a shame for his covenant. It's cheapening his covenant. Ella, the kavanah of the Mishnah is the Kohen Gadol made bifnei HaMelech. It's talking about that the Melech himself is sitting with the Dayanim to judge. So that's not a zilzul for the Kohen Gadol to come and testify in front of the king who is sitting between the Dayanim. But we learned that you cannot establish, a king cannot be part of the Sanhedrin. So how could you say that the Kohen Gadol is coming to testify in front of the king? And the Kohen Gadol. It's talking about the covenant of the Kohen Gadol that he's come to testify for the son, Asv Yosef. The Melech comes and he sits on the side of the Dayanim. He's not part of the Dayanim. And the Bezdin is Mekabel all the Eidos, also including the Eidos of the Kohen Gadol, about the son of the king. And once the Kohen Gadol finishes Eidos, the Melech gets up and he leaves. He's not part of the Dayanim. And us Dayanim are the ones that are look into the din, and we are machriya what the din should be. We learn before we don't set a king as part of the Sanhedrin, meaning we don't establish the king as part of the Sanhedrin. He's not installed as part of the Sanhedrin, and nor is a melech or Kohen Gadol there to judge, to deal with the extending and making a ibayar. So the melech doesn't sit with Sanhedrin chsiv loisan al riv. You should not respond to an argument, and we teach loisan al rav. You shouldn't argue on your teacher. You shouldn't contradict the Bezdin or here melech either. So let's say that the Sanhedrin will want to don a person to be chayiv. The other dayanim won't be able to. Let's say the melech or Kohen Gadol will be down for a person that is chayiv, and the other Sanhedrin want to argue. They won't argue. Therefore, because they cannot argue against the king or Kohen Gadol. We said loy melech or Kohen Gadol be b'hashana, nor could we have a king or Kohen Gadol sitting as dayanim when it comes to making a ibayah to add a month to the year. Hamelech mishum avsanya. The king is because of avsanya, because he's inclined, meaning the wages he pays annually for the year. So he would rather make an extra month. And Kohen Gadol mishum tzina. A Kohen Gadol would rather not make a ibayah, because if you extend the year, so then Tisha gets pushed off to the time when its cheshbon will be freezing, and in the time when he has to do the avodah of Yom Kippurim, he has to do 5 tefillas, asar kedusha yadayim, he has to do 10 kedusha yadayim raglayim from the water of the kier. That's an azar. It's so cold. He rather not extend the year, that it should be that Tisha should be in a warm season. Our Papa says, we can learn now shata, a year that the times of the Kari B'chaim gets changed around. So he says over here that the weather of a year follows the months that would have fallen had the year not been extended. So here we have a problem. That means if you wouldn't have been Ma'abed Shana, it would cause that the winter would come in earlier in the Chodesh of Tisha. Eini says, is that so? There was a story with three herdsmen who were standing and talking. Rabbanan heard them saying, one said, if the ground is so warm that the early crop, meaning the wheat, and the late crop, meaning the barley, grow in the same time, then it's chodesh adar. Im lav, less din adar. But if it doesn't grow in the same time, then it's not adar. Another said, if the ox is going to die from the morning cold, but if the afternoon, the heat is going to be so warm that the ox sleeps in the shade of a fig tree and rubs itself, meaning rubs itself against the tree, then it's out. Less din adar, then it's not, doesn't have a din of adar. So here you're saying that the season it determines if we should extend the month or not. And one said, if the east wind is very strong, nothing like kidlei, and yet, but when you blow against that wind, you will win over against the wind, then it's other. Less than other. But if not, then it's not other, it's shvat. And par hearing this, the Chacham extended the year. So the Chacham understood from the herds people, from their sikha, from their conversation, that the weather was more of Shvat than of other. So then the Chacham declared that we should make a Ibaya in order to make the months in the proper weather patterns. And here we said that no, we're afraid that if you extend, they'll extend it in a time, meaning the Kohen would extend it would not extend it because it would be cold in Tishrei. But if it will be cold in Tishrei, then we don't extend the year. They're doing the right thing. They want the weather to be fitting to it. So what does it mean that the reason why the Kohen Gadol couldn't be done because Tishrei, if you extend the year, it will be in cold weather. If it's in cold weather, the Chachamim want to orient it should be in warm weather, that the season should follow, meaning Tishrei should be autumn. Not that Tishrei should be ending up in the winter, if you add a month. So the Gemara so what was wrong? So that's it. So the Gemara says, so the Gemara answers, did you think it entered your mind that the Chachamim relied on what they heard from the herdsmen and they only determined the month according to the season? Rather, the Rabbanan made it on their own calculations. If the crop wasn't growing well, so even for that they would extend, even though it would turn into cold weather. Over there they followed the herdsmen. It Pashto was a mazel worked out that the Cheshbonison worked out according to the conversation of the herdsmen.